Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So as you can tell from the title, this is going to be another how to reverse stamp with gel polish. So we're going to use the opaque black sticky stamping polish from Shemodern, and also a regular polish from regular stamping polish from Bornpretty. So these are going to be our stamping plates today. So what I thought I would do is I thought I would do a Shemodern one, because I know lots of people have Shemodern sticky stamping polish and other sticky stamping polishes. They are air dry ones, and I thought I would also do just a normal just a regular stamping polish as well, just in case you've got any of them ones and you don't use the sticky one, because they are slightly different, because obviously the formula is different. So I'm just showing you here, this is why it's important when you take off the blue film or whatever film is on it. It's important to prime your plate with acetone, because that is the horrible stuff that was left behind. So I'm going to go in with the black first. The reason why I'm going to do the black first is because the formula is made to dry slower, and obviously it has, the more it dries, the more of a sticky layer it has. So you need to make sure that you leave it to sit to dry properly, because if it's still wet and you go in with your gel polishes, the image is going to smear. So I will just put it onto the image, and then I'll scrape it and pick it up, and then I will leave it to sit on the side. I left it for roughly sort of 5-6 minutes, just so I knew that it was definitely dry enough, because as I said, you don't want to go in right now and use the gel polishes, because it will just smear the image, because obviously it's formulated to dry slower. So that is our image there. So while we're going to leave that on the side to dry, I will just pick up the other images. So I'm going to use obviously the Bornpretty white. You can use any stamping polish that you've got, whether it's CADs, all brands. I just had the Bornpretty one out, so I thought I would use that one because I know it's quite popular. So with this one, you don't need to leave it to dry as long. But I thought, well, obviously while the other one is drying, we could just pick up these images. So I'm just going to tidy up anything I don't want, and there you go, that's that one there. So I'm going to use some 3 different like gel polishes. I'm going to use normal gel polish colours. I use Madam Glam, but it doesn't matter which brand you use. And I'm going to do it with the Bornpretty pat paint, so a pat paint gel, and I'm also going to use a nail art gel as well. So the nail art gel is very similar in viscosity to stamping gel polish as well, so you can use stamping gel polish to do this. Any gel polishes you have, I wanted to cover as many of the bases as I could. So I'm just going to continue just laying out my polishes. So I will just lay these all out onto my little silicone thing. Just use whatever you have available. I just had this silicone mat, so I'm just going to pop all of my colours onto the mat. And then I got 2 different brushes out, depending on obviously how big your area is. I got a fine one and a slightly thicker one out. I didn't use the thick one, I just used the fine one. So yeah, just use whatever brush you normally would use. And then yeah, I've got a lint-free wipe as well, just to wipe the brush off onto when I'm switching between the colours. Okay, so this Shemodern one is the one we're going to do first. So it's been sitting for 5-6 minutes, so I know that it is dry enough. And then I will go in with the colours. So what you want to do is you want to keep your colours, well, your layers thin, because obviously gel polish, the thicker it is, the more bumpier it's going to be, and it's not going to cure. It may look like it's cured on this side, but it may not be cured on the side that's going to go onto the nail. So in between the colours, when I feel I need to, I will flash cure it. By flash curing, I mean cure it for 10 seconds in your nail lamp. So I will just start putting it on. So what you need to do, obviously, because we are doing it onto a stamp head, obviously it's silicone, so it's not a buffed surface. You can buff your stamper, but if you buff your stamper, it will be cloudy, so you may not be able to see to put it on the nail properly. So just, you know, just think about that. I mean, if you're going to be doing this on a regular basis, you could buy some like cheap stampers and then just buff the heads ever so slightly, just so you have that slightly sort of rough kind of matte kind of feel to it. Because doing it on top of this one, obviously because it is silicone, it will have like the ripple effect. So sometimes you will notice that your gel polishes are dragging from the sides, so you will need to, before you cure it, flash cure it, make sure that you just have a little look and make sure that you don't need to, you know, re sort of fill it in a little bit. You'll be able to see throughout the video what I mean. So you just want to keep your coats very thin and even. So like here, just in the corner, you can see that it's just slightly dragged away. So yeah, and if you do it over a lighter background, you'll be able to see what parts still need filling in, so what parts have pulled away. So yeah, I thought I would do an updated one, because I noticed the one that I did before, which was like 3 years ago, has been getting quite a few comments. So I thought that what I would do is I would incorporate some of the questions that were asked in the comments and put them into this one. So one of the questions that was mainly asked was, how long do I flash cure it for? I flash cure it for 10 seconds. It just holds it in place, so then I can continue, you know, colouring it in. So you just flash cure it as and when you feel that you need to, because obviously I didn't want the colours to blend, so that's why I was flash curing in between. And when it comes to, obviously, when you finish filling it all in, I would cure it for 60 seconds, either 30 or 60, depending on obviously how opaque the colours are. If you're using darker colours, they're going to be more opaque, so to ensure that it's cured on both sides all the way through, I would cure it for 60 seconds. If they're slightly lighter colours, like these colours, even though they're opaque, they're still kind of quite light, and because I'm putting it in and out of the lamp, obviously each 10-second cure is curing the other colours that you laid before, if that makes sense. So yeah, so this one, when I finished it, I did cure it for only 30 seconds before I put it onto the nail, because I knew that the polishes would be cured, because it's been in and out of the lamp. But I would say, just to be on the safe side, I would say cure it for 60 seconds, so you know that it's going to be cured on both sides. Because what you don't want is it to be cured on this side that you're looking at, and then when you turn it over and go to stamp it on the nail and it's not cured on that side, or it's not cured all the way through, say the middle bit isn't cured, it's just gonna spread right across your nail, and that is something that you don't want. So always make sure, you know, that just basically just to ensure that doesn't happen, I would cure it for 60 seconds. So I will just continue applying these colours. You can use whatever colours that you want. Just obviously make sure that your layers are thin, because if you put it on thick, it's going to, one, it's going to be lumpy bumpy, and two, say like the outer edge is thinner and then you've added a thicker coat in kind of into the middle of it, that is going to be two different thicknesses. So it's going to be flat, and then it's going to be bumpy. So try and keep your layers thin and even. If you need to put 2 coats on, say you're using a jelly polish and you want it to be slightly more opaque, then you can put 2 layers on, so you can build up the opacity of the colours. Hopefully hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, just let me know in the comments and I will get back to you. I just thought I would do an updated one, and also because obviously there's all different polishes now, all different brands. So you have the sticky ones, which are a completely different formula because they're made to be used differently, and then you still have your like branded regular ones, which are, you know, Bornpretty, there's CADs, oh, there's loads of different ones. So I thought I would cover as many as I could in one video, just in case that you're using the Bornpretty one, you don't use the sticky one. So I thought I would try and cover as many of them as I could in the one video. So I will skip forward a little bit on it, because obviously it's the same process as you're going along. What I would say is, don't push down on to the stamp head. And I would say, if you can, I would say use a nail art brush, not a dotting tool, because the risk with using a dotting tool is dragging the image, and then you have no actual outline there anymore. So I would say probably using a brush is a lot safer to use, and it's a lot easier with gel polishes, because they are made to sort of like spread out, because obviously they're self-leveling. I do find that a brush is probably going to be better. You can buy just cheap brushes. You don't need to use anything expensive, just any brushes that you have. So this is this one completed. So I'm just going to cure that, and then I've got the tacky layer of the gel polish still on here, so I'm going to stamp it on. So I'm just going to line it up where I want it to be. Obviously I wanted the flower more in the middle, so I will finish the image off camera later on. So there you go. If you have any little overhang, I wouldn't pull them, I would cut them with a pair of scissors, because if you pull that, you could pull the other image, the other parts of the image as well. So I would say if you have any overhang, just clip them off. And also with the Shemodern sticky stamping polish, don't rub over with your finger, because if you rub over with your finger now, you will wipe your image away and you'll be left with just your colours. So as long as you've pushed down hard enough, it's good to go. So now we're going to move on to the pat paints. So I have Bornpretty ones, but again, there's lots of different brands out there. So these are going to be slightly different because they are slightly thicker. Because obviously they're made differently, so they're not going to be as thin. As you can see, they're very thick, they're very opaque, so you need to make sure that your layers are thin and even, because the thicker the layer is going to be, one, you run the risk of it not curing, because these take longer to cure, and also you run the risk of it, you know, peeling up, not laying properly on the nail because it's too thick. It could turn brittle and just like crispy. Just, yeah, so just take into account of all those different things. I mean, you can practice this over and over again, and you will see when I finish curing this right at the end, because I will cure it for 60 seconds, because obviously they are more opaque, so there's definitely a difference. You will see that it has kind of like a textured chalky look to it. That is because obviously of how thick and opaque these are. So yeah, just take that into consideration, and you know, you can see that it's laying quite nicely. It will pull away from the edges as well, so you will get like the ripple effect. You know, as think of it as if you put some water on this stamp head, it would kind of all separate and kind of, you know, go into bubbles and pull around. That is exactly what will happen when you're doing the gel polish. So before you cure it, just have another little look. If you need to move the gel polish again, just move it around. So here you go. So that's the first one there. So as you can see, it is moving a little bit, so I will just tidy it up. As you can see just here, that's what I mean by it pulling away from the edges, because obviously it's made to self-level, so that is what it's going to do. And because the stamp head is slightly domed, obviously the gravity is pulling it back into the middle, so that is why it does that. So yeah, just double check before you flash cure it for your 10 seconds. Just double check, and if you need to move it around a little bit more, you can. So I will just, yeah, I'm just going to have a little play around with these 4 colours. These are just the 4 that I got out to use. So you want to be very gentle, obviously, when you are applying these, because you don't want to pull up your image. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to have any of the image there. You're just going to have your outline of your polishes. So yeah, just don't be too heavy-handed. Just be as gentle as you can, gentle and even. So I mean, if you've never done it before, just practice. Just get yourself a little silicone mat or something like that. They can be picked up quite cheaply in many different places. I mean, you could even use a lid to a butter tub if you wanted to, and just have a play around with it before you actually, you know, before you actually sit down and do it on this. Because the worst thing you want to do is paint all of this, and then right at the very end you mess it all up, because it does take a long time to do. I'm not gonna lie, it does. So yeah, so I'm going to go in with the blue now, and I will just continue applying these. So yeah, as I said, if anyone has any questions, comment on this one. I will add this to the playlist of the how to stamp videos. I've got a little playlist, so I will add this one to it as well, and the original one will be there. And if you're having issues with stamping, there is a stamping video on how to stamp as well, how to pick up the image. That is also in that playlist as well. So yeah, I thought I would do, you know, an updated one, because I did notice I was getting quite a lot of comments on the other ones, so I thought it would be a good idea to do an updated one. So yeah, so it doesn't matter what gel products you're using, whether you are using gel polishes, gel paints, stamping gels, these pat paints, it doesn't matter. Just adjust your layers according to what you're using, because they all have different viscosities. So yeah, just kind of adjust it, because you really don't want to be going in with thick layers, because obviously, as I said, the thicker they are, the more bumpy it's going to be on the nail. It's going to stick up, and it may not cure all the way through. So yeah, just have a play around with it, and yeah, I'm sure you will get there in the end. And obviously, as I keep saying, if you do have any questions, just let me know. But hopefully I've covered all of the sort of, yeah, the main questions. So as I said, in between the colorings of this, if I feel like I need to flash cure it, I will flash cure it for 10 seconds. I only need 10 seconds. It's just to hold the color in place, so you can use another color close to it, and they won't bleed into each other. Just hold it in place as if you were painting your own nails and you just flash cure it. It's the same principle with the reverse stamping with gel polishes. So I will just continue just filling this in. So I will leave you here for a little bit. I will leave it in this speed just so you can see, and I shall be back very soon. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but can you see on the stamper head where that blue is? You can see what I mean by the kind of like textured kind of chalkiness to it. Well, not chalkiness, like a texture to it. And that is because this is a thicker viscosity, so you will get that. And obviously this is a darker color as well, so you want to make sure, if you're using dark colors like this, you definitely need to make sure that they are thin, even layers. If you need to go in with two, that's absolutely fine. So this is it so far. I thought I would skip ahead a bit just because it's, you know, I'll leave so much of each bit in. So yeah, so I have cured that now. I've cured it for 60 seconds, so I'm just going to have a little look And you can tap it, but be very careful because, you know, it is still gel polish. And again, I've left the tacky layer on the nail, and I'm just going to stamp it on, and there you go. You can see it looks a little bit different to the other one. This one looks a little bit more textured, whereas the gel polish one was smoother. If you've rubbed the inhibition layer of your gel polish off, you can just go in with a thin layer of base coat. You can use foil glue as well, just something that will give you the tacky layer. So these are going to be the nail art gels I'm going to use today. These are just Savilan ones, but it doesn't matter which brand you're using. It doesn't matter. I just thought I would pick this one because this is the one that I had out at the time. So, yeah, I'm going to give them a little bit of a stir before I use them. And then, yeah, we're just going to paint the other 3 butterflies that we have left. So with this one, I'm just going to have a little play with the colours. Obviously, with a glittery polish, it's not going to pull away as much because it's got that glitter within it. So it's got like so it's got something a bit different in there. So it's not going to pull away as much, but always make sure that you're checking before you flash cure it. You can go in if you flash cure it and then you kind of halfway through and you notice little patches here and there like I do on this one, you can just fill it back in. It's absolutely fine. You can do that. Just make sure that you're not putting an extra thick layer over what you've already put down. So yeah, so if you add another, say I missed half of this wing or something, or it had pulled away and I flash cured it in place already, I can then go in with a little bit and just tidy it up. But you don't want to go add another layer over what's already been cured, because otherwise that will add bumpiness. So it's really important to keep it as level as you can and keep it as thin as you can. Just try and repeat in your head, thin layers, thin layers. That's what I do. So yeah, I'm just going to continue painting these butterflies. And yeah, I mean, I don't really see a difference between using the different gel polish products. You just got to remember that, you know, some are more opaque than others, so there's different consistencies, and they're going to act slightly different, but not too different. So yeah, you just want to be careful with, you know, how thick you're applying it. And as I said, just keep checking and just seeing if you've got any sort of like, you know, bits that have dragged away from the side, because you will notice that when you put it on the nail, especially, you know, if you're using a lighter color for your background. Say you were using a white and you put this over a white, you would be able to see the kind of like the patchiness where it isn't quite all the way covered. So yeah, just keep checking. And I do find it a lot easier if I've got a white background underneath, because I can clearly see when I flip it over, especially, I can clearly see what parts I still need to recover. So yeah, hopefully I have covered all of the questions. So yeah, so flash curing is 10 seconds and then the full cure for 60 seconds, and then you can stamp it on the so I'm just going to continue finishing this one off, and then I will just take a nail tip, just anything, obviously just for the video, and then I will yeah, and then I will stamp it on to the nail. So yeah, so hopefully this video will help people. I know my last one did, but that was a long time ago when I did that. 3 years, such a long time ago. And obviously all the products have changed, and I've got a much bigger collection now, so I've got lots of different brands and different kind of, you know, the nail art gels and the stamping gels. I've got all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's definitely changed for me. So I thought I would do a more updated version to help anybody who would like to do this. So yep, so I will just continue applying this, and then yeah, and then I shall come back with the next bit. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to stamp this on to the nail now. I do try and show you the best I can, just it's very difficult because I'm trying to look at what I'm doing and also show you. But yeah, just take it nice and slow when you lay it on the nail. And if you want to, you can do the pulsing motion with the stamper head, just to ensure that all sides have adhered to the nail. And this had the tacky layer as well. So I'm going to go in with a glossy top coat. You want to use a glossy top coat because obviously the stamping that we've done. And you don't want to run the risk of putting a matte top coat over this and it just completely smearing. So I would definitely say make sure you go in with a glossy top coat, and don't keep going over the image over and over and over and over again, because you will eventually smear the stamping polish as well. And also make sure that you're brushing in one direction, because if I'm brushing down the nail, if then I was going to brush up the nail in the opposite direction, it's then going to create that kind of friction there, and it will just smear. So if you still find that it's a little bit lumpy bumpy, or there's little bits that are missing, just cure that and then go in with another layer of a glossy top coat. I would actually suggest going in with 2 layers of the glossy top coat anyway, just 2 thin even layers, just to ensure obviously that you're not going to get any chipping or anything. So here I am, I'm just being very, very slow and easy with my top coat. And then I will matte top coat these just so you can see from the pictures. But here we are, this is them here. I will focus the camera in a second. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. And if you have any questions, as I said, fire away. I will answer all of them as soon as I can. So yep, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit of a longer one, but I wanted to do an updated one, as I said. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Until then, take care, bye.